The copyright of this audio material is owned by the Michal Levin Institute. No part of it may be reproduced or duplicated in any way without permission in writing from Michal Levin. And remember, this copyright is also protected by the universal eternal laws of karma. Thank you.
Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. Close your mouth. Block off your senses. Blunt your sharpness. Untie your knots. Soften your glare. Settle your dust. This is the primal identity. Be like the Tao. It can't be approached or withdrawn from, benefited or harmed, honoured or brought into disgrace. It gives itself up continually. That is why it endures. That quote is from the work of Lao Tzu, born around 604 BC. It's the prelude I've chosen for the introduction to my book, The Way. The Way, messages to stir your intuition and touch your soul. This book serves as a tool to take you, the reader, deeper into yourself, deeper perhaps into another domain, another level of reality. My second home, where the inside and the outside merge. If that sounds unclear or elusive, let me offer some context. The process that started these poems, for want of a better word to describe them, was a rather unusual one. After experiencing a series of exceptional events in my life, I came to find that by using my voice in a flow of words, spoken out loud as they came to me, I was able to inspire visions and what are probably best described as altered states in others. I found I could take them to places where they saw or heard elements that certainly did not come from the everyday. I used this gift as a healer in the widest sense of the word to help my clients to see more, to understand more, to know more, and to be more. The true gift, because that is what it is, a gift, is used for the benefit of others only, and that is how I have tried to use it, not for self-advancement, glory, or power. I worked in this way with groups as well as individuals. Some of these group occasions were recorded. They were incredibly intense experiences which awakened participants to deeper levels of their existence, often accompanied by feelings of profound peace and joy. It took a great deal of energy to hold these events. I felt that I was literally holding everyone else I was sitting with and lifting them up. Eventually, I posed the question to myself: how could I give others this experience without having to be in the same room? Looking for a way to answer that question, I started to write instructions for visualizations. Telling the recipients of my emails what to see, I led them into silent meditations. I recorded these instructions, which were often rather short but vivid. Then the instructions grew. After a while, it was clear I was writing complete pieces. They could be described as visions or stories, or sometimes even lessons presented in the form of metaphors. A later participant with a background in the Zen tradition called them koans. It was clear too that the process of speaking the words I had written, recording them for recipients, played a very important role. Sometimes, while recording my pieces, the hairs on the back of my neck would stand up. I recognized myself as being in a subtly altered state through simply connecting with the place my words were coming from. Since then, I've written these poems regularly, every month. The pieces almost always just come to me. The words lead themselves, or lead me. I may go over them and tweak a word here or there, but I never alter the image or the flow. That simply is. And here's an interesting footnote from Jung's work. The fact that the messages just come to me and I put them down in a form that might be described as poetry reminded me of C.J. Jung's thoughts on the relationship between poetry and the discipline he called analytical psychology. One form of poetry he describes as constructed. I think he means that the author weighs the forms, perhaps subscribes to a particular poetic discipline of line construction and that sort. But, he says, there's another way of writing poetry. And he describes it as class of works which flow more or less complete and perfect from the author's pen. They come, as it were, fully arrayed into the world, as Pallas Athene sprung from the head of Zeus. These works positively force themselves upon the author. His hand is seized, his pen writes things that his mind contemplates with amazement. The work brings with it its own form. Anything he wants to add is rejected, and what he himself would like to reject is thrust back. At some point, I started to write a message to go with each month's poem, and it seems the messages were very helpful, to me as well as to those who received the pieces. To my astonishment, I regularly received, and still receive, emails from readers responding to the messages or poems saying, "How did you know what was happening to me?" Or, "How did you know the best way for me to handle the month? It really helped." The messages and poems were originally called ELUs, Energy Link Up, describing how the pieces were a way of linking with my energy. Indeed, to emphasize the effect, we join in virtual meditation every Sunday. More recently, I've changed the name to Monthly Intuitive Message, or MIM, because that is also what each message or poem is, an intuitive message delivered every month. Of course, that's the point of the poems, to offer help and guidance with handling the energies of the month. Do I know what will happen? No, not usually in any detail, but I'm open to the words that tell me how the energies should be handled and that offer a metaphor for facing circumstances. It seems to work. But there's another unexpected quality to the work too. I found that opening the collected messages as they are now, at any point, the page that falls open communicates something that is relevant to the present. That's a major part of why I'm putting these pieces out to a wider audience now. It appears they're not just relevant to the time they were written, but continue to hold messages for the present over and over again. So you may like to read them, perhaps one at a time, as a spur to meditation, a way to go deeper. Or you may like to consult a specific month's piece in that month. Or You may simply like to let the book fall open and soak in what you receive from the message on the page that happens to be in front of you. However you use them, I hope these messages will stir your intuition and touch your soul.
The copyright of this audio material is owned by the Michal Levin Institute. No part of it may be reproduced or duplicated in any way without permission in writing from Michal Levin. And remember, this copyright is also protected by the universal eternal laws of karma. Thank you.